And then with that, the only other bit of new business is the resolution that has been circulated around. And so I don't want to, mischaracterize anything. Perhaps Commissioner Eggers, who was at the FISCA meeting last night, it was a good meeting, FICSA meeting, not FISCA, FICSA board meeting last night. It was really great to see the library and the director proactively take steps to resemble the community around Palm Harbor by removing things in the children's section proactively. And then they also are going to put on the children's door their mission statement, which includes a neutral venue. So they're going to include that. They're going to do monthly audits with the advisory board of the library in the children's section to make sure it remains a neutral venue. And they're really committed as a quote, a change agent, the advisory board. Though, when you talk to the FICSA board members and to hear some of their comments of, how did we get back here? Because this has, come up in years past. And one of them said, we took our eyes off the ball, and he said, it's irresponsible to get back here. Another one of the board members, said in the meeting, thanks for bringing this up. They had no idea, that this was going on in the library. So I'd really like to leave it up to the board. I'm proud and willing to, move forward with the resolution today. But FICSA really has they're not a policy creator at the end of the day. And so when some of the board members say, well, how did this come up again? It's because they can't create policy to limit some of these interactions in the children's section. They're hand-tied by only a budget oversight that if they have an expenditure over $10,000, FICSA approves it. Or they take their budget, review it, and recommend it to this board. And they do now, I think, semi-annual reviews of the directors of the library and Parks and Rec department. But they have no policy-making authority, and that's this board's authority. So, I'd kind of leave it up to some of my fellow colleagues whether they want to move forward with this resolution or see if the library, again, will get back into the same position, because if the board decides to let the library, go its own course, I mean, I will be, if I see something that I don't like, it will be back here again, and we'll be getting emails from people that don't live in Palm Harbor, people that live in St. Pete or Clearwater and Largo that aren't reflective of the community around Palm Harbor, that are fed misinformation that this resolution is somehow banning books or taking books off the shelf, which it's not. I've made that abundantly clear. It's black and white. And so it's really, does the board want to let Palm Harbor potentially, even though the director said, hey, there's no plan to do anything, but there's no policy that would prevent them from doing something tomorrow, next week, next month. So, I'll just leave it up for the board for discussion, and like I said, willing to move forward or see what other options there are, and I yield back. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Latvala?
Thank you. So I went to the library yesterday with a member of FICSA, and I didn't tell them I was coming. I didn't tell the library that I was coming. So we first went in the teen section, and we didn't see anything, inappropriate. We went into the children's section, and we're looking around, and I asked her, I said, what was objectionable? And she said, I'm not sure. And there's books, about, I think this month is Women's Month, Women's History Month. So there's, books about women and history, and I said, what was Vince's or Commissioner Nowicki's issue? And I said, okay, well, I'm gonna go ask the director. So I went to the front desk and I asked the director, or I asked to speak to the director, and he comes out, and he was actually in the middle of a meeting, and he said, we took it down, but, I'm finishing up a meeting, give me 5 minutes and I'll come out. So when he came out, we had a very good conversation. And he said that when Commissioner Nowicki, expressed the concerns, there was a couple displays and there were brochures in the kids section about like LGBT issues that he said we didn't throw them out, we just moved them to another part of the library. They're no longer in the kids section. I said, all right, well, thank you. And he talked about how there was a meeting last night and they were going to talk about a policy and he was talking about, different things that they wanted to do. And I said, so, and I know last year for Pride, y'all kept a display in here, but you moved it, to the quote-unquote older kids section. Because like the kids section, if you go in the Palm Harbor Library, there's like a younger kids section, and then like an older elementary kids section, and then in a completely other part of the library, there's a teen area. And so we were talking about that, and I said, and he talked about how there were some people last year that, complained to the library, but not like it was the year prior. And I said, I knew about it last year, but I didn't, say anything because I knew that we didn't have the votes on the commission. And so we talked about it, and I said, what are your plans this year? And he said, that's something we're going to talk through. He was going to talk through with his team and whatnot. My attitude is, and then I told him, I said, I don't care what you do in other parts of this library. The only place I care about is the kids section. Because I don't want to have constituents or residents in Pinellas County like I had 2 years ago that have 5 or 7-year-old kids that have to answer to their kids about stuff that they're seeing at eye level in the kids area. About gender identity and the other things that we, had 2 years ago. And so we had to talk about that. And my attitude is, if they're not going to have that stuff in the kids section, then maybe we table this resolution until they do something that they shouldn't do. But if they're going to make proactive steps, which it seems like they're doing, then that's a win in my book.